Breaking news. Suspect on Yumenglong case surrendered just today and revealed the truth. The story of Menglong, the beloved actor whose untimely and brutal death shook the entire world, has taken another jaw-dropping turn. Just when the public thought they had seen it all, CCTV leaks, funeral breakdowns, testimonies, hidden USB evidence, and shocking betrayals, today brought the most unexpected chapter yet. A prime suspect in the case, long hidden in the shadows, walked into a police station and surrendered himself. But it wasn't the act of surrender that stunned millions across China and beyond. It was what he revealed inside that interrogation room. And his truth? It changed everything. The surrender. A scene straight from a drama. The streets outside the Beijing police headquarters were calm, almost ordinary, until a black car slowly rolled to a stop. Eyewitnesses say the moment the door opened, silence fell over the street. A man in a gray hoodie, face pale and trembling, stepped out and raised his hands into the air. Gasps erupted when passers-by recognized him. He wasn't just any man. He was one of the names whispered in fan forums, rumored for months to be tied to Menglong's suffering. Inside the station, surveillance footage, later leaked, captured the moment he removed his hood. His face was hollow, as if carrying the weight of 1,000 sleepless nights. He didn't wait to be asked. Instead, he fell to his knees before officers and said only 3 words. "I can't hide." The interrogation. You have no idea what they did. Within minutes, the suspect was seated under the harsh light of an interrogation room. What began as a standard questioning quickly spiraled into one of the most explosive confessions ever recorded on Chinese soil. The suspect leaned forward, voice cracking, and said, "You think you know how Menglong died. But you don't. You have no idea what they did to him. What we were forced to do." His words sent shivers through investigators. Forced? By who? Fans had always believed his death was orchestrated by a few corrupt figures in the entertainment industry. But this man's trembling hands and broken voice hinted at something far bigger, far darker, far more organized. The truth revealed, betrayal from within. According to his confession, Menglong's torment did not begin on the night captured by CCTV. It had begun months earlier. The suspect revealed that the actor had been watched, followed, and manipulated by people he trusted. The betrayal wasn't just physical. It was emotional, psychological, and designed to break him slowly. The suspect described secret meetings where orders were given. He named individuals who were supposed to protect Menglong but instead turned into predators, feeding information to powerful backers in the shadows. One chilling detail emerged. They wanted to destroy him, but not in one blow. They wanted to strip him layer by layer until nothing was left but despair. I saw it. I helped them, and it has haunted me every day since. The hidden voice recording. Perhaps the most shocking revelation came when the suspect pulled something from his pocket during questioning, a small, battered recorder. He claimed it contained a conversation he had secretly taped months before Menglong's death, a meeting between 2 key figures in the case, discussing their plan. When played, the tape crackled to life. Then, 2 cold voices filled the interrogation room. He thinks his fans will save him. Let's see if they can save him when the world believes he's lost his mind. Another voice chuckled. Break him. Film him. Make sure he can't come back from this. The room fell silent as investigators realized what they were hearing. It wasn't just cruelty. It was calculated, premeditated destruction, the deliberate dismantling of a man's career, dignity, and soul. The suspect's tears. For nearly 2 hours, the suspect continued to speak, his voice trembling between anger and grief. At one point, he broke down completely, slamming his fists on the table as he sobbed. He begged me to stop. He looked right into my eyes and asked me why I was doing this. I had no answer. I wanted to run, but they had my family. If I refused, I would have ended up like him. Do you understand? I didn't want this. His words revealed the twisted network behind Menglong's tragedy, a web of blackmail, threats, and manipulation that forced even unwilling hands into blood-stained roles. Fans react, rage and heartbreak all over again. The news of his surrender spread like wildfire within minutes of breaking. Social media exploded with hashtags like #Justice for yumenglong, #The Truth Finally Spoken, #He deserve this. Some fans expressed fury, demanding immediate arrests of everyone named in the confession. Others broke down in grief, reliving the pain they thought they had begun to process. Many focused on one detail, that Menglong, even in his last days, was aware of betrayal by people he once trusted. A fan wrote, "This isn't just murder. This is betrayal in its purest, cruelest form. They killed him long before his body gave up." The shock in courtrooms. As the confession was transcribed and submitted to higher courts, whispers spread across legal circles. This testimony could blow the case wide open. Prosecutors who had thought they held all the evidence were forced to admit this changed everything. The USB, the CCTV, the funeral revelations, now they were only pieces of a much larger puzzle. The judge, when informed of the surrender, reportedly told the courtroom, "The story of Menglong is not finished. The deeper we dig, the more rot we uncover." The suspect's final request. Before the interrogation ended, the suspect made a final, chilling request. "Let me face his mother. Let me apologize to her directly. She needs to know her son fought until the end. She needs to know he never gave in." Reports say police are considering the request, but the public is torn. Some demand he never be allowed near the grieving mother. Others believe facing her could reveal even more truths long buried. What comes next? With this confession, the case has entered a new phase. Investigators are racing to cross-check the names mentioned, the recording provided, and the timeline described. If confirmed, it would not only prove the conspiracy behind Menglong's death, but also implicate a powerful chain of individuals who thought they were untouchable. Meanwhile, fans across the world prepare for another wave of protests, vigils, and calls for justice. They know the battle is far from over. But today, for the first time in months, there is a sense that the truth, no matter how devastating, will finally emerge. Conclusion: the story that refuses to die. Yumenglong's death was supposed to be the end. But with every confession, every video, every tear shed at his funeral, his story refuses to fade. Today's surrender is more than a legal twist. It is proof that truth cannot be buried, no matter how powerful the hands that try. And as the suspect's broken voice echoes across the world, one line stays carved in the minds of millions. "You have no idea what they did to him." Now the world does know, and the world will not forget. The shocking surrender that stunned the nation. When the news first broke that a suspect in Yumenglong's case had walked into a police station and surrendered, the world could hardly believe it. It wasn't a quiet whisper. It was a thunderclap that shook the entire entertainment industry, the justice system, and millions of grieving fans who have been clinging to every update since the actor's tragic end. But what exactly happened inside those tense minutes, from the moment his black car stopped outside the station to the instant he uttered his trembling words, "I can't hide"? Let's dive deeper into the surrender scene itself, a moment so powerful and shocking that it will likely be remembered as a turning point in one of the darkest sagas of our time. The arrival, a car that froze the street. At 9:17 a.m., witnesses near Beijing's Central Police Station reported seeing a black sedan moving unusually slowly toward the gates. It was early morning, and the street was busy with vendors, students, and workers hurrying to their destinations. Nobody expected history to unfold before their eyes. The car came to a crawl, and then it stopped. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then, the back door opened, and out stepped a man in a gray hoodie, face partially hidden, his hands slightly raised as though already in surrender. One bystander described the eerie silence that fell. It was like the whole street forgot to breathe. "We didn't know who he was at first, but the way he moved, it was like someone carrying a mountain on his shoulders." When his hood slipped back, people gasped. His face was instantly recognizable. This was no stranger, but a figure long whispered about in online forums as possibly connected to Menglong's torment. The walk to the station. Every step a confession. He didn't run. He didn't resist. He walked slowly, deliberately, with his hands high. Police officers rushed forward, weapons drawn at first, unsure of his intent. But as they saw the raw fear in his eyes and the trembling in his fingers, they lowered their weapons and surrounded him. Eyewitnesses said his lips were moving as he approached the doors, whispering words too soft to hear. Some believe he was praying. Others say he was repeating the phrase, "I can't hide anymore." A vendor outside the station later told reporters. He looked like a man who had already died 1,000 deaths before reaching those doors. I'll never forget that face. Inside the station collapse. As soon as he crossed the threshold of the police station, his knees buckled. Officers caught him before he hit the floor, dragging him to a chair. He sat there, head in his hands, shaking uncontrollably. When the desk sergeant demanded his name, he didn't answer immediately. Instead, he broke into tears, his voice cracking as he finally managed to whisper, "I am the one you've been looking for. I can't run anymore." The room reportedly went silent. Officers stared, unsure if this was a trap or a confession. But the man's trembling form left little doubt. This was real. The first words, a sentence that stopped time. Moments later, when escorted into the interrogation wing, he said something that chilled every officer present. "You think you know what happened to you, Menglong, but you don't. Not even half of it. Let me tell you before it's too late." Those words were later leaked to the media, sparking a storm of speculation. What could be worse than what fans had already seen on leaked CCTV? What could possibly explain the cruelty Menglong endured? The answer, everyone now believes, lies in his confession. Public reaction to the surrender. When the surrender hit the news cycle, social media exploded like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags like #yumenglong #the truth emerges, and #he surrendered rocketed to the top of trending lists. Fans filled comment sections with disbelief and fury. He had the audacity to show his face after everything? This proves there's more they're hiding. We've only scratched the surface. If he truly wants forgiveness, let him face Menglong's mother directly. The most emotional reactions, however, came from international fans who had stayed up through the night waiting for updates. Many posted videos of themselves crying, saying the surrender reopened wounds they thought had started to heal. Inside the interrogation room, an atmosphere thick with fear. The interrogation room where he was taken has been described as electric, not because of the lights, but because of the tension hanging in the air. Officers, seasoned and unshaken by years of handling violent criminals, admitted afterward that this was different. One investigator said, "It wasn't just fear in his eyes, it was guilt, heavy and unbearable, like a man who'd been living with a ghost on his shoulders." Before the interrogation formally began, he reportedly asked for water, but didn't drink it. His hands shook so violently the cup spilled across the table. Then, with tears welling up, he leaned forward and uttered the line that still echoes across the internet. "I can't hide anymore." The power of surrender. What makes this moment so unforgettable isn't just that he surrendered, it's how he surrendered. It wasn't a man dragged from hiding or cornered by force. It was someone who chose to face the storm, perhaps knowing it might destroy him. Psychologists commenting on the case suggested that the pressure of guilt, public scrutiny, and the weight of secrets, too heavy to bear, finally broke him. Some believe he feared retribution from those still in the shadows and saw prison as safer than freedom. Others, however, argue it was something deeper. The image of yumenglong suffering, replaying endlessly in his conscience, pushing him toward a confession he could no longer resist. Fans gather outside the station. By noon, hundreds of fans had gathered outside the police station, holding candles, posters, and photos of Menglong. Some cried openly, others chanted for justice, and a few simply stood in silence, staring at the building that now held the man they saw as one of the keys to unlocking the truth. One fan shouted through tears, if he loved Menglong even once as a colleague, he should have protected him. Now all he can do is tell the truth, every word of it. What happens next? Authorities confirmed the suspect will remain in custody and face formal charges once his confession is fully documented. But the real focus isn't on his punishment yet. It's on the information he claims to have. His words, his recording, and his testimony could drag others out of the shadows and into the light. But one thing is certain, his surrender has shifted the narrative. No longer is this just a case of actors and accomplices. It is now a case of betrayal, conspiracy, and a truth so dark it is still unfolding. Conclusion: the day the walls broke. The suspect's surrender is more than a legal event. It is a symbolic crack in the wall of lies that has surrounded Yumenglong's case from the very beginning. His trembling steps toward the police station weren't just his own. They carried the weight of every unanswered question, every betrayed trust, and every tear shed by millions of fans. And while the world waits for the next chapter, one truth is undeniable. Yumenglong's story refuses to die.